Hi, this is Sergio with Cigar Inc. and I'm super excited to be here today because we have a real and special treat for you. We're gonna be spending time with a man that's extremely regarded and respected. Besides being considered by many as the greatest cigar making in the world, he's an extremely accomplished businessman, engineer by trade, who's also an inventor. He holds over 1,000 patents under his name. He built 5 companies from the ground up, which he sold for $3 billion 20 years ago. He used that money to get into the commercial real estate, and today he manages over $6 billion worth of property. If like that wasn't enough, he is disrupting the luxury market with golf courses, hospitality, hotels, an incredible clothing brand. Liquor, people say he makes the best vodka in the world, and a pretty good cognac. Wine, he's very well known for his wine, but we know him as the king of cigars. He is the owner of El Séptimo, considered by many the greatest cigar in the world. He's offering 55 blends. My dear friend and somebody that inspires me every day, Mr. Sajja Yunan. How are you, Sajja?
How are you, Sergio?
Very good, very good. We're doing this thing now?
Let's do this thing right now.
So, Sajja, the question that I have for you, and I know after that introduction that a lot of people are wondering at home is why keep pushing? What's your dream? What's your goal? Because a lot of people would have stopped a long time ago. So what drives you? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Tell us a little bit about what's happening inside Mr. Sajja Yunan's brain.
You're right. First of all, I never think about 10 years from now. I always think about tomorrow, right? And take it one day at a time. Because if you have a transient and very successful lifestyle, every day your life changes. So you can't schedule it based on 5 years goal or 10 years goal. You set your goals daily and you try to achieve those goals. And every day will be a better day than the other one. But to answer your first question is an inspiration, right? Passion is something that every human being on this earth has, right? And a lot of people are fortunate enough that they know how to turn the passion cells on, right? Trigger it, turn it on. And that passion drives them, give them vision of creativity, ambition, tremendous amount of energy for them to do all the things they want to do. So I was very fortunate enough that early on I had to discover the passion. I had to turn it on because I grew up in a very poor environment and I was not happy with the way I was living, and I wanted to do something about it and change it. And that's the source of my inspiration. So every day I get up, I think about when I was 13 years old. I slept in one room with 10 people, and we ate once a day. And if there was an apple in the refrigerator, we couldn't touch it until after the dinner. My mother would cut it to 8 pieces, and each one of us will have one. So it's very good for a human to be able to reflect back, not only for being humble, but also understand where his reference point was, where he started, and when he's going to end up.
I've been learning from you every day, but I didn't know that you actually were self-made. So you grew up with 10 people in a room eating once a day.
Yeah.
How does somebody like yourself in that environment gets to where you are today? And the reason why I'm asking this question is I know a lot of people watching this look up to you, and they're going to be extremely inspired by your story. So how do you get from that environment to where you are today? And what could you tell people that are watching that also are ambitious and have big goals and dreams?
Right. Well, as I told you how I lived, and obviously I was not happy with the way we lived. My father was a truck driver, my mother never worked, and I grew up with 5 sisters, and grandparents. So I knew that I was not happy with the way I was living. And I knew that if I wasn't going to make any changes, my destiny would have been same as my father or maybe slightly better. So at very early on, I decided to do something drastic. Now, what I'm going to tell you is going to freak up a lot of parents, right?
Okay.
But you shouldn't, right? At age of 12, I decided to come to America. I figured it out all by myself. At age of 13, I had my passport, my visa, my ticket, everything lined out.
So you actually dealt with the process of
entire process. Matter of fact, my mother didn't know I was coming to America at the age of 13 until the night before when I was packing my clothes. So that was a turning point, right? And when I came to America, I realized that I'm in the most perfect environment I could be, because truly this country is blessed. So many people can do so many things.
The opportunities there.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, the way the country is structured and everything, God bless it.
And many people take it for granted, right? They don't know how in other countries, the possibility simply just doesn't exist.
Oh, absolutely. So at that time, I realized I came a long way away from my parents, away from the country I lived in. And I wanted to do something totally different. So I promised myself in the airport before I get picked up, I promised myself from now on, I will do everything differently. I will do everything differently.
You're 13.
At age of 13, exactly,
okay.
right? And I went to school. I got my, high school diploma at 16. I got my bachelor at 19 from University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana. I had immediately job offer. And a lot of people get a job and they go to the office and they say to the boss, okay, what are we doing? What should I do? What is my training? I walked in and I started doing exactly what I wanted to do. Without any training, I started taking chances, doing things that it wasn't part of my responsibility, but I did it. And I became very successful solving problems, not only my problem, other people's problem. So again, it comes in a passion. We talked about it earlier. A passion is something that some people say, I envy you. You have passion, and I don't. They're wrong. Everybody have passion. Everybody. God created all of us equally. Every one of us have it. The question is, how do you turn it on? And how do you keep it on? Right? It's like a furnace. It needs to be on, and it needs to be on all the time. And that passion will guide you toward your journey, will help you solve your problem, will give you a vision to know what you have to do next. So God created all that power within us, right? All we have to do, dig deep inside, pull it out, and put it in good use. When I was small, I didn't have food to eat, or I lived in a bad neighborhood, and I used to get in a fight a lot. That didn't frustrate me. It frustrated me. It didn't make me go break windows and commit crimes and steal out of grocery store. That actually empowered me to pick the most perfect straight path and to move forward in my life. So one of my recommendations would be for every person that listens to this, take a few minutes and think about and where they are in turning their passion switch on. And if they're not there, then they should get there within the minutes after that, right?
So you use what would have destroyed a lot of people's capacity to dream and have faith. And that's something I want to talk to you about. Your capacity to visualize and follow through with faith towards your goal. So you actually, what would have destroyed a lot of people's vision and belief, therefore faith that whatever it is that they wanted could happen for them, you actually use that
exactly
towards achieving your goal and your goal and working hard.
Exactly. I didn't let that create weakness within my power. I actually let that create strength, empowerment, tremendous amount of energy, right? And every time, even to this day, I get tired. I want to go home at 6 or 7 p.m. at night. I think about how I grew up. And I turn around, turn back in my computer, and I put extra couple hours.
And you keep pushing.
Because I do not want to go back where I was. I didn't enjoy it. I don't want to go there. I don't want my children to live the life I live. I don't want anybody to live that life that they live. That's why it is really important for every human being that is listening to this podcast to remember that they could be exactly what they want to be. It's all up to them, and all they have to do is to move forward and try to achieve what they think they cannot achieve.
What do you think of the educational system today? Do you think that is really built and shaped to help individuals achieve their goals? Do you suggest that people go on their own in order to make their dreams come true, or they should trust what the government is offering them today as far as education goes?
Well, one thing, I mean, a government should not be guiding human beings, because average human being is much smarter than a government official or politician. But I believe personality is far more important than education. There are many people in this world, right? Bill Gates didn't finish university, right? Steve Jobs didn't finish university. And look what they did. Every one of us holds Steve Jobs' component in our hand. And he was a dropout on the first year of university, right?
I didn't know that.
Yes, of course. He was dropped out first year of university. So education is important. Education works the muscle in your head, in your brain, just like you exercise in your arm, right? But personality is the most important thing. If you have the right personality, no matter if you're in good school or bad school, you'll get the right education out. I mean, I went to terrible school at the beginning, right? But we all read the same books, right? So the teacher might be bad. You might have 50 people in the classroom versus 10 people in the classroom, but the book is the same. So if you have a right personality, you can extract from that book all the important things you need to be successful. So again, personality is very important. And that's why always the focus should be on self-personality. What is my personality? Some people might like their personality, right? But they might not like where they are in life. So guess what? They are wrong. They have the wrong personality.
Can somebody change?
Absolutely. People can change anything they want to change. Often people, they're a little overweight. They start eating less. They start exercising. But again, it becomes a preference. They choose to change to the things that they're comfortable with versus the thing that they should change they're not uncomfortable with. So if I come during a day and I have 10 things to do and 8 are the one that I'm not comfortable with doing it, I focus on those first before I get to the easy one. When a normal person will take the easy one, answer them first, and then work his way to the most difficult one. Again, it comes in your personality. This is a secret for success. A lot of people pay money to listen to other people's podcasts or to be motivated by all these people that I always wonder, if they're so successful, why do they have to beg people for $4,000 or $5,000 to motivate them, right?
And they don't keep doing more of what apparently
Absolutely.
makes them so successful.
It's all gimmick, right? I've never been to those motivational classes. Matter of fact, I don't even listen to anybody. I mean, everything I need to know in life, I could figure it out myself, right? So again, a self-personality, reaching inside of you to see what you have and what you need and how you're going to bridge that is the most important thing you do, and that's the first step of being successful.
So for everybody that's watching at home right now, I want you to pay attention at what Saya is sharing with us and all the value that he's giving us by sharing his story. He's basically letting us know that our environment doesn't dictate who we are, but rather who we choose to become and what we choose to do with what we have. And your identity can be shaped, meaning you get to drive your vehicle, right? Because so many people, because we grew up in an environment and our parents are not as successful as our other people's parents, or I grew up in a small town, and I have dreams and goals. It's easy for an individual to think, hey, that life that I would really like for myself doesn't belong to me because I'm not in that environment. And you're a living example that regardless your environment and the level of poverty you grew up, you actually even got out of your country in order to come to the United States to pursue your dreams and goals. So guys, pay attention to that. Goals, vision, faith. And you know what I'm getting a lot from Saya? Courage. Courage. So how have you, because you're so driven and your curriculum is impressive and you've achieved so much success in many different industries. Do you always get your way? Do you ever hit walls? Do you ever find obstacles? In fact, let me take this even further. Are you ever afraid? How do you deal with fear? What fear means to you? Because what we all see is this Saya that is perfectly dressed and that does what he wants, when he wants, with whoever he wants, which, by the way, to me, that's a true definition of success. Not necessarily money, because you can make a lot of money but be a slave to the environment you've created. So in my eyes, you're successful because you do what you want, when you want, with whoever you want. That's true freedom. Right, so to me, that's success. But going back to the point that I wanted you to share with us, in order to inspire people out there is, do you still hit walls, find obstacles? How do you handle fear, frustration?
Absolutely. And every day, every minute. I get up in the morning, 6 a.m., the first thing I do is take a look at my emails, right? And I see nothing but problems. I see nothing but issues, nothing but disappointment. Anything that was supposed to happen.
That's how you start your day.
That's how I start my day.
That's your daily coffee.
That's how I start my day. And then a lot of people will turn off their phone and go back to sleep. I get up, I jump, I get ready, I go to work, and I deal with them. Every one of us, I tell you, matter of fact, the more successful you are, the more problems you have, the more setback you have, the more challenges you have, because the world around you becomes more dimensional, right? It's not a two-dimensional world, it becomes more dimensional. And do I fear things? I live in fear all the time, and I love it. I'm used to it. I'm comfortable with it. Fear is a very important element in success.
Okay.
Because fear increases your sharpness. It helps you focus. It helps you pay attention to detail. And it keeps you energized till you remove that fear element. So fear is a habit. I perceive fear as a habit. Right?
Because it makes you more aware.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's far more powerful than coffee or Adderall. Right? Fear is very important.
Through
right?
adrenaline.
Exactly. Exactly. It's very important.
The real juice.
But because it becomes a habit after a long time, the only thing you should fear is a fear itself. So don't fear to have a fear. Open a door. At the end of the day, ain't gonna kill you, right? And deal with it, right? So you have to have the ability, personality, to walk in the room, find the devil, and get rid of him immediately. Right?
Instead of running away, which
exactly.
is everybody's first instinct, including mine. So you've made what I'm getting, and again, because you're just giving us so many golden nuggets, right? That I want to sometimes make pauses just to address to the audience what's happening here. So check this out. Even though he's successful and even though he's accomplished, because he keeps reaching out for more, all he's dealing with is constant obstacles. So one will think that once you become successful, success is a product of you being extremely knowledgeable, but that's not the case. Every time you keep wanting to grow and you keep reaching for more, you're gonna find obstacles. So in a way, you've made a sport out of what will make an ordinary person run away. So for you you don't see an obstacle or a problem as an issue, but rather as a sign that you're moving in the right direction. So you spend all day facing and going through walls and facing obstacles.
Exactly. I'm a man of faith, and I believe in God. And I believe God is so kind that he would never put the load on a human being that he knows they cannot handle.
Oh, wow.
Right? So
that's beautiful.
But that is
beautiful.
But that's form of the test that a God create on us. Because look, when you go work out, right, what do? You go lay under the bench press, maybe you left 200 pounds, and next week you want to lift 210 pounds. You're constantly elevated, right? So you go to tremendous amount of pain and suffering and sweating. Why? To look better, right? It's amazing that people spend more time to condition their body than condition their brain.
Wow. Golden nugget. I wish we had a button, right? Or a bell just to celebrate. There you go.
Yeah. And it's amazing. I've always been fascinated with it. Now, guess what? If there is a guy that has a six-pack and there is a guy that does not but has 6 cars, who do you think a good-looking girl wants to date? A guy with the car, right? But joking aside,
with the 6 cars.
Joking aside, if we emphasize on training our brain as much as we emphasize training our body, right? We will have a very powerful element part of our body, which is our brain, right? And your discipline will change, right? You become a trained, systematic human being, right? Where you get up every minute of your life, you know exactly what you want, and you know exactly how to get it. So it's all up to you. So if you want to unlock the treasure within your body, is only you. You're the only one that have the key. You're the only one can do it.
We're the only ones stopping ourselves, man. It's amazing what you're sharing with us. I want to talk about cigars. I've been smoking cigars for 23 years. They're a big part of my life. But before we get into the cigars, what we have, I want to spend the next 20 minutes talking about cigars. Farming. There's so many things I didn't know about growing tobacco. But before that, I have some really quick questions that the audience has begged me
To ask.
because they want to know more about you. Who are you as a man? So these are like really sharp, fast questions that require, and we would like a one-word answer. Okay? What's your favorite song?
Staying Alive
Staying Alive?
by Bee Gees. So nobody would have expected that, right?
No.
For a rich guy that talks about the fear. Staying alive.
Staying alive. What is your favorite dish?
I love steak.
How do you like your steak cooked?
Medium rare.
Medium rare. That's the way to go. Same for me. What's your favorite drink?
It depends. It depends what I eat and when I'm in the day. But I love wines and I love vodka.
What is your favorite cologne? Does Saya wear a perfume?
It is actually the perfume that we've been wearing is the perfume we've been making as a part of the Imperial collection in Paris. And it's going to come out in 4 months. And as part of the testing, I put it on and many other people. And we log how many people ask us what we are wearing and if they like it or not. And that decide if we should release that perfume or cologne or not.
That's just fantastic. What is your
So
favorite?
you must have liked it that a man is asking another man about my cologne. All right,
I know everybody talks about it. Hey, do you know? But nobody dares to ask you directly. But it's like, hey, do you know what he's wearing? What is your favorite country to visit?
France.
France. What is your favorite hotel in the world?
My favorite hotel in the world is Alexandra Palace in outside of the Paris in Loire Valley. It is a beautiful palace that is very old, 17th century, and is in the forest. And I love to stay there because I connect with the nature and I connect with the wildlife, and I can really enjoy myself. Alexandra Palace.
Everybody needs to
in France
visit.
is definitely my favorite hotel.
In France, what is your greatest accomplishment?
Well, I think my greatest accomplishment is being married to my wife. Because that's where everything started 34 years ago, and have 5 children. I think that's the greatest accomplishment. I don't think my success in a business and corporation is that significant, because I think there are people far better than me, far smarter than me, like Elon Musk, for example, Steve Jobs, the 2 people that I respect in the world. Steve Jobs passed away, but Elon Musk is still alive, because these guys, I perceive, they have a bigger drive than I have, smarter than they have accomplished more. And so I always strive to be like them, right? I looked at them and I see, wow, what an exceptional human being. Why can't I be just like him?
You know what? I love that your name is in the same sentence as Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, and you guys have something in common: relentlessness. I've never seen you quit, ever.
Yeah.
And I don't think they did either. So,
actually, we have more in common, because I sold a software company to Steve Jobs back in early 1987. And we developed a very first electric vehicle in the world when I was working with Amerigon in Burbank. And that was 1994, which later on we sold it to GM, and GM made an EV1 out of it. So there is a work connection with both of these guys.
And I didn't want to talk about those things, but it really blew my mind to learn that you were behind the VoIP technology, the development of the airbag technology that everybody uses today. I mean, the products you've been part of and the technology you've helped develop are really, really, truly helping humanity.
Yeah,
So
I mean, we obviously did it for safety reasons and so forth. I mean, 35 years ago, we developed the airbag, and we invented and developed the airbag, where today every vehicle in the world has an airbag. You know what I mean?
saving lives, man.
Exactly. I mean, there are 58 million cars in America today that they all have an airbag, saving tremendous amount of life. But our development wasn't just the airbag. We developed more component automotive in a short period of time under my group than ever has done in the history of mankind, including when Ford developed the first vehicle. We developed the airbag. We developed the advanced instrument control, PDS, park distance control, VTS, variable temperature seats, and so forth. So we developed a lot of components.
So the way we're enjoying cars today in comfort and safety we owe to Mr. Saya Yunan. So big
And many other people. Many other
big
people.
applause from everybody in the audience.
Yeah. Many other people.
Right now. What do we have here? Tell me. Let's talk cigars, because that's the love that kind of brought all of us together here.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted to take a second to acknowledge and celebrate Cigar Inc. Cigar Inc. it's an extremely sophisticated company that has a great approach to tobacco that exclusively sells El Séptimo. They don't settle for anything else. And Cigar Inc. has created this space where we can come in and connect and talk to you and share our beautiful world with you.
Actually, more than that. Cigar Inc. is just more than all of that.
Okay.
I think Cigar Inc. is the first platform in the history of this industry, 600 years old. And it's not all the other magazines, all the other guys that are expert. Hell, there are more cigar experts who proclaim to be expert than cigar smokers, right? Everybody's expert in this industry, right? But the platform of Cigar Inc. is where they bring scientists, really credible people, to talk about the products and explain the product. Not the people that if you advertise with them, they rate you good, and if you don't advertise with them, they're never going to rate you, right? Cigar
So
Inc.
that's the real
Exactly.
deal.
Cigar Inc. is not in publication.
They're ethical in their...
Exactly, right? Because there is like today in the podcast, if you touch on the right question, there'll be things said that if everybody Google are the correct things, and people that have been smoking cigar for 30 years didn't know that, right? Because all of these magazines worldwide, all of these proclaim cigar expert, right? They know far less than they think they know, right? And they put all kinds of information out there that they misguide a true cigar smoker, right? And we'll talk more about that. But Cigar Inc., like they facilitate this platform of conversation.
Of course.
And if you
Thank you to Cigar Inc., by the way.
Absolutely. And if you ask the right question during this platform, I can give you some answers that I bet you 70, 80, 90% of all the cigar smokers that listen to this podcast will say, God, I didn't know that, right? And why he doesn't know that, right? Because all these magazines, every month, they get money from cigar manufacturers, they rate their product high, and all these poor people go buy that cigar, that is rated really high, but it end up to be total disappointment, right? So if they really want to learn the fundamental, no one should choose to another person what they should smoke. It is totally wrong. Like sometimes I see these guys saying, well, I'm going to smoke this cigar and I'm going to rate it. You rating it for yourself because your palate is different than everybody else. Mm-hmm. Everybody's palate is different. So you might smoke it and like it, someone else might not. Or you might dislike it, someone else might like it, right? So it's like when you go eat steak or when you go eat pasta, you don't go, hey, Jack, did you eat pasta? What pasta did you like? I go buy that, right? You know what you eat. You experiment yourself and you inquire yourself to get what you want as a satisfaction. So cigar smoking is this. I mean, one advice I have for people, stop listening to people. Go pick a cigar that looks good for you. That is the level. Try it. If you like it, buy it. And if you don't. Sometimes people go to cigar stores and they ask the guy, the cash register guy, what should I smoke? The guy doesn't know the difference between one tobacco versus the other one. And he will recommend...
They might also be pushing tobacco they've had on the shelf for a while.
Exactly. That's a good point. So one advice I have for all the cigar smokers in the world is that go out there. There are a lot of cigars out there. Pick the cigar that you think is good for you. And how do you analyze that? Make sure the strength of the cigar is what you like, right? The size, the strength of the cigar is what you like. And try it. And if you like it, buy more of it. And if you don't, change it to something different.
Explain something to me. And I love, by the way, that we took a sharp left and now we're going to get to talk about our cigars. Explain something to me. I've been smoking cigars for 23 years and I was very proud about the way that I've been developing my palate. And I started smoking whatever I could get my hands on at the beginning. Then I started doing A. Chapman and CAO, and then eventually Arturo Fuente, and I got into Opus X's, and I was smoking Padron. And those were the brands that they've always been part of my rotation. But something happened when I started smoking El Séptimo. I honestly, and I know it's a joke around your private lounges that smoking an El Séptimo will ruin your life. But I have to say, I've been smoking cigars for 23 years. Why, when you start smoking El Séptimo, you stop enjoying and liking what you loved for 20 years, which is my case, right? I haven't smoked all of your blends, but what truly, honestly, makes your cigar so unique, and just I'm going to use a quick analogy. Imagine you've been, there's nothing wrong with Honda Civics and Toyota Camrys. They're incredible cars, Volkswagen Jettas, right? They're great cars. But it's kind of like you drive a Honda Civic or a Jetta, and all of a sudden you step into a Bentley GT or a Rolls Royce. Like, that's how dramatic the difference is. Two, I realized that after I smoke, and this is an honest question, why I don't stink like cigar, like my car, my clothes. My family cannot tell that I was smoking cigar. So one is why they're so much better. There needs to be an explanation. Two, why they don't stink as bad as the other ones? And third, I've heard you a couple of times discussing with actual doctors, surgeons. I don't know why you have so many doctors around you in your life. And you've talked about the topic of nicotine, right? Being something that is actually not that bad for you. And I apologize that I know I dump a bunch of questions, and this probably deserves you speaking 20 hours on it. But
no,
why this is better?
Right?
Why they don't smell the way other cigar smells? Tell us about what makes El Séptimo so unique and special.
Right. So you asked 3 questions. Let me answer them, but let me answer the third one first and go backwards. One of the reasons you attended a few lounges when I was smoking and I was surrounded by doctors is we wrote the first report in the world, has never been done. Cigar industry is 600 years old. Nobody has ever researched. Nobody has ever been able to put on the report with statistical references to medical institution about the health benefit of natural tobacco, health benefit of natural nicotine.
Okay.
We were the first to do it, right? We put a 38-page report together and it's available for people to have it. And one part that you see me sometimes talk to the doctor, I always surround myself around them when I'm smoking, and I debate the issue of the health benefit of natural nicotine. Again, I'm talking about natural nicotine cigar. I'm not talking about cigarette. And it is amazing that initially they said, oh, give me a break. Tobacco is bad for you. But when I go and I explain it to them in detail, they convert to the belief that actually cigar is very good for you. And many of them, as you notice, they take the cigar, they light it, and they smoke it. A natural nicotine, right, is actually very healthy for you. Is a natural ingredient, natural fruit created by God, right? We don't put any preservative on it. We don't put any chemicals on it. In an average cigarette, there is 7,000 chemical and compound.
Whoa.
7,000, including benzene, which is the same as you put in your car. This is a natural leaf, right? This is a natural leaf that we pick up and we ferment it, we age it, we roll it, and people smoke it, right? Nicotine, the actual nicotine in this cigar is an identical nicotine that it is in tomato, in potato, eggplant, green pepper.
There's nicotine in vegetables?
Absolutely. Cauliflower. So if any one of you Google, pick up your iPhone, smartphone, Google, does red tomato or potato have nicotine in it? And you will see an average size tomato, which is this big, has 7.2 milligram of nicotine in it, right? So nicotine has been part of our diet from the beginning of the time, right? So actually it's healthy for you. And if you Google, is natural nicotine good for you? And they said there has been studying down that it slows down dementia, Alzheimer's disease, reduce the effect of Parkinson's disease, reduce strokes, reduce stress significantly. And stress is the biggest killer of human being in America, right? And why does nicotine, smoking a cigar, reduce stress? Because nicotine is diuretic. That's the chemical function of it, is diuretic. And
it widens your arteries.
It widens your artery.
That's why we feel relaxed.
Exactly. It allows more blood and oxygen flow to your system. That's why you feel relaxed, you feel calm, and you feel good about yourself, right? Now, why does smoking a cigar is so bad on you? Why is it every time you smoke a cigar, you go home, your wife says, please take your clothes off in the garage.
Yeah.
Go take a shower.
Take a shower and
exactly, right?
Even hours after smoking.
Exactly. A natural tobacco, like El Séptimo, which is one of the only in the world, right? If you smoke it, and go home, your wife would not recognize you smoked a cigar. There would be a very slight, small smell of the cigar on you, but nothing that disturbs you. The cigar smell is oud. Oud is the most expensive component of making any fine premium cologne or fragrance, right?
That's right.
Oud is, right? So is the oud, right? So it should not smell. When you smoke El Septimo, smell the ashtray that you ash your cigar in. It should smell like nothing.
I did that. One of the guys that worked for you the other day, because we were discussing this, and they made me smell an ashtray
And
full of buds, and it didn't smell
right.
Like,
So
it's
what smell? So what smell in the cigar? Why when you smoke any other cigar, you go home?
I really want to light this.
Yes, go ahead. Yes. So it's because of all the fertilizers and pesticides that they put on the plant as the plant grows up. It usually takes.
That's what makes it smell.
Exactly. It usually takes about 6 to 8 months from the time you plant the seed to the time the nicotina plant is grown that you can take off the leaf. During those 6 to 8 months, depending on the location, they apply, in average, 200 application of pesticides on them.
Okay.
Pesticides, as you know, is a chemical that comes from the animal poop, right? And that's how they make pesticides. And people spray pesticides in them also to control the diseases and let the plant be thicker and live longer so they don't lose any crop during the yield. The yield is good. And fertilized pesticides in the raw form is not that bad for you. But God help you when you light it, when you have a combustion in the process. When you have a combustion in the process.
That alters the composition of...
Exactly,
Yeah?
of course. Fire alters the composition of anything, any chemical, any food,
Okay.
any ingredient, right?
Heat.
Heat, exactly. And that's why it sticks to you. A natural, if you Google, is a natural smoke adhesive? You will find out it says no, it's not adhesive. So when you smoke a cigar, why does the smell stick to you, right? Because the smoke of the cigar is supposed to be non-adhesive according to all the medical, all the scientific findings, if you Google it, right? So what makes it stick is all that tremendous pesticides and fertilizers they use on the leaf that has a sticking effect that sticks to your hair, sticks to your clothes, sticks to your skin.
I have
sticks to your finger.
suits that a week, no joke, if I go to a cigar lounge and I smoke a couple Arturo Fuentes or Padrones, which are great cigars, and I smoke 2 or 3 and I hang out there, clothes, if I pick up that suit a week later, still smells.
Yeah. Oh, you have to give it to the dry cleaning. It's impossible. You cannot do it. So we use very, very, very little that we have to use, right? And but we do other things to keep our crop fresh and to keep our crop disease-free. One of them is we plant them in a high altitude.
That was my next question. So let me, okay, this is what I don't get. This is a 500-600-year-old industry. How come I understand you're an engineer and your brain works like a scientist, but how do you come and completely revolutionize an industry that's 600 years old? Because you cannot compare. Like it's not slightly better. It's like night and day. Like how can you, why is this so much better than a premium expensive cigar?
Sometimes people been in the industry for a long time, right? So when they've been a long time, they get the habit of doing the same thing over and over again. And this is not only specific to cigar. I've seen it in automotive industry. I've seen it in semiconductor industry. I've seen it in software industry. I've seen it in every other industry. It always takes someone from outside to come with a fresh look, right? Scientific look, right? To say, you know what? Yes, we've been doing it for 600 years, but there are better ways of doing it. And let me teach you what the better ways are, right? And we've been doing it better ways. First of all, farming is not new to me. My first exposure to farming was 33 years ago.
So you actually, because people think that you control, and I apologize for interrupting you, the marketing, but I think this is important for people to know this. You're actually involved even in the farming aspect of the
very
tobacco?
much so, very much so, very much so. Because if I don't get involved with it, those farmers will do exactly what they did yesterday or day before when they were working on their own, right? So I have to go in to change the habit. Exactly.
You came to disrupt the process.
Not disrupt, fix it. Not
Okay.
disrupt, fix it. I don't want to disrupt anything. Disruption is too much stress for me. I want to fix things, right? And I can teach things. Some people They obviously have a big ego. They're not going to follow. They're going to do the same thing they always do. And then suddenly they realize they go out of the business. And I've seen this in automotive industry, aerospace industry, software industry, hardware industry, chip industry. And some people learn from it, right? I tell you, I have smoked a cigar, 250 years old cigars, right? A collector had given it to me. And I was expecting actually to smoke that cigar and come to conclusion that is nowhere near the current cigar available on the market. Because 250 years have gone by. Human has gotten smarter. But the fact was there was no change between that cigar that I smoked then and the cigars that are available today, because they do the same thing that people did 230 years ago. To give you a good example, a Nicotina plant is a yearly plant. Means you plant it once a year with the seed. At the end of the year, when you pick up the leaf, the plant is destroyed. So you have to redo it, replant again, right?
Oh, so the same plant doesn't keep growing leaves?
No.
Okay, so there's once you gather the leaves, you need to remove the plant and put a new one?
Exactly.
Okay.
Put the new seed in, right?
There you go, something new for all of us to learn.
Yeah. And because the plant is only living for 7-8 months, right? The roots of the plant is usually 12 to 24 inches. So the root of the plant does not go deep into the soil. The root of the plant stays on the surface of the soil, right?
Okay.
When it stays on the surface of the soil, when you plant year after year after year on that same plantation, right? You take all of the mineral, all of the vitamins, all of the good quality of the soil, you absorb it. So the soil loses all of that, right? So what we do, which is different than everybody, we plant on the same plantation for 5 years. After 5 years, we take the plant out. We don't plant on it for 3 years. But every week, we move that soil. Every week, we mix that soil for 3 years. And after 3 years, we let the soil to rejuvenate itself, for the soil to start developing all of the minerals, the magnesium, the calcium, the iron, the fiber, the pH level of the soil. We let it build up, and then we plant on it. Nobody in the world does that but us. So that's why when they keep planting on the same land year after year, the cigars often don't have taste. It's just a smoke. That's just one of the examples of precision farming. The second things we do, which is very innovative, is done in the advanced agricultural industry, where they take sea algae. Sea algae has a way of transporting mineral in the soil. And we put the sea algae about 30, 40 feet under the ground. And then these sea algae will literally move around under the soil, and they propagate all the minerals into the soil. So, and that's just an example of what we do that others don't do. And that's just a few examples why our cigar tastes so much better than everybody else. As someone like you, when I met you, you were smoking Cuban cigar. Mm-hmm. And I've seen you now for over a couple months in the lounge smoking. And every time I see you, you're smoking El Septimo. So it seems like you're not smoking Cuban cigar anymore. So the question that I have for you is, why? Explain it to us.
Very simple, because I was not aware that this brand existed. I didn't know about Cigar Inc. I didn't know about El Septimo. And I think that we owe our fellow cigar smokers we have a mission, a job at hand, which is to create awareness that there is something exceptional that cigar lovers have been missing out for all these years. Because once you go El Septimo, you're simply not going to be able to go back. But check out, guys. I mean, that's a great explanation and science-based explanation why these cigars are excellent. Look at the level of care. They care so much about the brand and the experience we're going to have smoking one of these cigars that they take it as far as bringing algae, right? Precision farming and rotating the crops is something that I was talking to William. He really educated me about the rotation of the crops. And imagine that somebody that doesn't necessarily need to do that, but they go the extra mile. Why? Because they're committed to excellence.
And then there is another philosophical change here. When I make this cigar initially, when I bought this company, My whole mission was to make this cigar for myself, for my own family, for my own children. I didn't mean for this cigar to be a business for us that it is today, and I didn't expect it to grow as fast as it's grown today. So when I make
You're
this
selling
cigar,
100,000 sticks a month.
a month, yeah.
bad.
So when I make cigars, I make it for myself. So they have to be perfect for me. If it's not perfect for me, others won't like it. Some people make cigars for others. They just want to make them, they just want to band them, and they just want to sell them. We make cigar for existence of it. And if they sell after that, fine. That's the reason when you come to my office, you see I have 2 million sticks only in my own personal humidor.
The most impressive humidor I've ever seen. And going inside of it, literally, it is a cigar lover's wet dream. I wanted to take a second and thank Cigar Inc. for providing these incredible cigars. I've tried, I understand there's 55 different blends.
Yeah, 55. We have more blends, cigars, not different kind, different blend than any other cigar maker on earth.
55, that's a lot. I haven't tried them all. My favorite, I love to start my day with a Vartan. I think Vartan is just an achievement. It's such a creamy, tasty, the butter, the flavor of nuts that I get, it's unbelievable. Every Cuban cigar smoker that I know, I tell them, hey, try a Vartan. If they like that flavor profile, the Vartan is going to be the absolute. All the Coiva and Bolivar lovers go crazy with the Vartan. Now, so I like to start my day with a Vartan. I think it's one of the top 3 cigars you make. But then as I go throughout the day, I like the bigger, bolder cigars. Recently, William introduced me to Rebelde Blue. Blew my mind. It was, I will take it before than any Padrón Aniversario, any...
Oh, it's unbelievable cigar.
Rebelde.
Unbelievable.
So what are we smoking? So there's so much that I want to look into. Samba, right?
Right.
It's a great cigar, but what are we smoking today? We're smoking the Fabuloso
you're smoking,
Dark Ruby Pyramide.
Yeah, you're smoking this tobacco is 15 years aged before we roll it. And it's 70 gauge, 7 inches long, and it's got wrapper, which is very rare, our own proprietary wrapper, binder, and 7 different fillers in it.
Seven different explain that.
Seven different fillers from 5 different countries. So in this cigar, you smoke the best tobacco out of 7 different countries.
There you
that
go.
make the best tobacco. That's why it's so flavorful blended. Talk about
It's smooth.
It's very smooth. Every cigar has to be smooth. If you ever smoke a cigar that is not smooth, you must immediately come to conclusion it's not blended well. It's not blended well, and because any cigar, even if tobacco is not very good, it's not very expensive. I mean, tobacco price range from $80 per kilogram to $800 per kilogram, right? So you can even make a good cigar with the lower cost tobacco if it's blended good. The trick is in the blending. The science is in the blending.
So it's like winemaking. Winemaking, like the blender and the artist that puts together the combination.
If every blender I met in my life, and I met them all, every blender, how do they blend? They have in their mind, if they take combination of these tobaccos and they put them together, the cigar would be good. And they are the only one that smoke it and decide if it should be good for the masses or not. We do it differently. We study every leaf chemistry, and we make sure that the leaves are binary.
What is that?
Binary means the leaves go together. For example, in America, they make wines out of single grape, Cabernet Sauvignon, right?
Yeah.
And it's difficult for them to make with 3 different grapes, right? That's why Bordeaux is so popular, so famous, because there are 3 different grapes, right, that go together. And when you mix 3 different grapes that they come from different terroir, they have different acidicity, different sugar, mixing and blending them together is extremely difficult. But when you achieve it, you produce the best wine in the world, right? So blending is very important. My dream is, before I leave this world or leave this business, to make the world's most perfect cigar. And I'm spending millions of dollars doing it. And by the way, it's not my opinion what the world's greatest cigar is. Every time I make a prototype, I share it with 1,000 different people. I give it to them free, and I give each one of them $500 for them to write a report of what they like and what they don't like. And I'm not going to release the world's most perfect cigar until 1,000 people who are experienced smoker to say, yes, this is the best cigar I ever smoked. Only then I will say, this is the blend for the masses. Let's go to production with it. And with Wartan, I came very close to it. You think Wartan is a smooth. Wartan actually has more nicotine oil in it than any other cigar we make. So,
Really?
technically,
Maybe that's why I like it so much.
So technically, it needs to be a very strong, bold cigar. But the reason...
It's extremely, don't get me wrong, it's extremely flavorful. It's an adventure, but it's smooth.
But it's easy to smoke because
Yeah.
it's blended so well together.
It's perfection. The weight,
And
the color.
Rabardi Blue is a $30 retail cigar. I think it's so understated. It's such a powerful cigar. I mean, I have given them to some of the best smokers in the world. I go to Cuba all the time. And they smoke the cigar, and they don't let me leave their country until I leave all my boxes for them. So it is a very powerful cigar, Raboldi Brew. Is a perfect gauge, is a perfect size, and is the most fascinating cigar in the world. I call it Bugatti, because Raboldi Blue, you don't smoke it. Raboldi Blue smokes you.
It overpowers me, the experience. When I light up a Rebel de Blue, and I had one yesterday and one earlier today, this morning. Actually, it was today. I liked it so much yesterday that it was my first cigar today. It's a cigar that brings me back to the first years of smoking, where when I'm smoking a Rebel de Blue, I don't want to do anything else. I just want to be by myself.
It paralyzes you.
And I want to enjoy it with every sense. By looking at it, the smell, the touch.
That's what cigar should be.
It's like meditation.
I've noticed when I go, we do a focus group study. Nobody in cigar industry does focus group studies except we do. And we learned the importance of it 40 years ago when we were working for GM, right? That let public to decide what product should be the next, right? Not you, not the designer, not the manufacturer, right? I've noticed when I go to cigar lounges, right? I've noticed people sitting, smoking any other cigars. They're talking and having a conversation. And I notice the same people, when I give them a El Septimo to smoke, they become extremely quiet because they become fascinated with the experience, that they want to be exclusively paying attention to it. And that's what every cigar should be. Cigar should be just something $10, $20, $30. You just smoke it to just pass time, right? It should be something that gives you flavor, something that gives you experience, something that makes you think about it. I was in Intertobacco show in Germany. An Italian guy came to me. He said, I smoked Flamingo 5 years ago. The taste is still in my mouth. You know, that's the very powerful statement. And that's how we try to create the best cigar. Not go in the farm, pick up a couple leaves together, wrap them together, say, okay, this is go. Name it something, Johnny Mo, Johnny Cash, or Yellow Warrior, and come up with the cigar. Even the name, all of the name in our cigar have a history. They're branded perfectly. They mean something. Like Queen Sheba.
The artwork, it's unbelievable.
Exactly. Everything has to be perfect. We are very happy that be a leader in providing luxury experience in cigar smoking, which is very new era, and people love it. That's why we came to United States 2.5 years ago with 0 sales. Today, we sell over 100,000 sticks a month.
That's just impressive. Quick question. Why so many intellectuals and capable, intelligent human beings and powerful people smoke cigars? I'm not just talking about men. I've known a lot of women that smoke cigars as well.
Actually, the history of cigar smoking way back ago, early 1900, that they would smoke it on occasion, right? They would, for the occasion of cigar smoking. So I will invite my friends to come to my house for a drink and a smoke. Back then, all of their wives used to come. So cigar smoking was very popular with females long time ago. But over time, that died down, and today, I see it coming back up again. I see so many women, young, different ages, smoking cigar and enjoying it. When I go to my Instagram, I see posts from women telling people how much she enjoys smoking a cigar. It just makes my day. I get so happy. And I see younger people, 23, 24, 25 years old, smoking cigar. It makes me very happy. So the industry is changing. use of cigar, the sales of the cigar has been going up every year, and it will continue to go up every year. U.S. is the biggest consumer of the cigar smoking, consumption of the cigar smoking. U.S. is one country, consume 54% of the world premium cigars.
Really?
Right? Absolutely, 54% of the world premium cigars. And we see the growth in the smoking in U.S. far more than any other growth anywhere in the world. So I'm very happy to be in the industry because I truly enjoy the product. As I told you, when I make El Septimo, I make it for myself. I said it has to be perfect. Otherwise, I don't want to smoke it, right? I mean, if I come to your house and you say, hey, Zaya, I have a cheap whiskey. I pay $10 for it. Would you want a glass? I said, sure, why not? I'll just put it in my mouth, I'll swallow it, it's gone. But if I come to your house and you gave me a cigar that I know is not blended well, it doesn't have a right tobacco, it's not fermented right, it's got tons of pesticides on it, I'm going to say, Sergio, I love you, but I'm going to take a pass on smoking a cigar.
Okay.
I mean,
that's how you're committed to excellent smoking.
No, it's actually dangerous to smoke a cigar that has so much pesticides in it. Right?
Yeah.
It's not healthy.
You're poisoning yourself.
You're poisoning yourself, exactly.
I mean, this is just amazing. I wish we could spend so many hours, so many more hours talking about this. I wanted to do two things. I want to invite everybody to check Cigar Inc. You can purchase any and all El Septimo products in Cigar Inc., which is a company owned by an incredible group of people that are investing a lot of money and time, energy, and effort putting all these products together for all of us to be able to enjoy. So thank you to Cigar Inc. for providing this space, for giving us the cigars to enjoy. And I also wanted to invite everybody that it either lives in Los Angeles or is visiting California to check out El Septimo Private Lounge in Hollywood. I've been a member at the Grand Havana Room. I'm currently a member at Empire in Brickell in Miami, and a couple others, Washington, D.C. I've traveled a lot, Dallas. I've always loved this environment. I've never seen a lounge so well made. I mean, like, seriously, the carpet, the artwork, the furniture.
It's a museum.
No. It's like, but every leather couch is a masterpiece. And the people that you have working there are so caring, so kind, so knowledgeable. They'll walk you through and talk about the brand, but the pillows are perfect. The music is perfect. I love that about you, man. You don't settle for nothing. You do the best you can all the time.
And,
so
there is a reason for it. There is a one reason for producing excellent product and services. Actually, it's not just a service to the customer, it's service to me. The day I start producing a product or services that is substandard, I am deteriorating my own capacity, understanding what the limit of creativity is.
Ooh.
So
okay.
I'm doing it for myself. If I live a perfect life, create everything that is perfect experience, perfect product, it actually helps me more than it helps my customer, because it keeps my standard up in the way I live, in the way I choose, in the way I solve problems, and in the way I direct other people's house.
So you have a standard of being and behaving.
Absolutely. You know how many times my cigar makers made cigar, and I said to them, it's shit, throw it away. No, it's not, it's great. I said, it's great for you. I could be one customer. If it's not good for me, it's not good for other people too.
There you go. So it has the Saya Yunnan stamp of approval.
It has to be a perfection. You know, we developed long time ago TQM, Total Quality Management, Kaizen, Poke-Yoke, when we were working in automotive industry. An average vehicle, an average automotive, there is 75,000 components. So imagine when a car is made, 75,000 different components have to go together, be bolted together, be screwed together, be welded together, assembled together. And this car is 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 pounds. It goes through the ditches, it goes through a rough road, yet it has to be intact. It has to work perfectly. So imagine how difficult it is to make a perfect car.
I never saw it that way.
Well, of course, right? Not that you do, no. So we use the same technology, TQM, Poke-Yoke, Kaizen, in the way we make cigar. If we have one reject, we go to every single cigar we have of that batch. And then we don't say it's good or bad. If it's bad, we say why it's bad. It's bad.
So you can.
I said, no, go tell me why it became bad. Until you
So
don't
you can
tell
fix it.
Of course. If you don't know the root cause of a problem, you want to mask it, you're not fixing a problem, you're just fixing a situation.
So Saya, I could stay with you 3 days just talking about your life and smoking cigars. I have one more question for you before we go. There is a lot of families that have dedicated themselves to make cigars for decades. In fact, it's an industry and a business that tends to get passed along from generation to generation. In your opinion, as the legend, as the number one cigar maker in the world today, who else, in your opinion, out there today, you think is doing a good job creating offerings as far as cigars goes to people?
Yeah, there are a lot of good cigar makers in the world, right? The new world cigar, the cigars that are made outside of Cuba, in either Costa Rica or Dominican Republic or Nicaragua, are very good cigars, right? A good friend of mine, Ernesto Carrillo, who makes EPC, very good cigar. Good friend of mine, Arturo Fonte.
Of course.
He makes very good cigars. And the New World cigars are far superior over the old Cuban cigar. And one of the reasons, scientific reasons, why Cuban cigars have not kept the quality standard that they had 30, 40 years ago. The country, as you know, is very poor, and the only source of incomes they have that is meaningful for them is from tobacco. It's from selling cigars and tobacco. And they produce these in such a mass production way that they don't spend enough time to energize the soil, because to make the best cigar, the first thing that is important is the soil, then is the seed, then is the entire taking care of the plant until you harvest it, and then fermentation, aging, rolling, further fermentation, aging before you release it to the people. And Cuban have been producing cigar for such a long time, they don't let the soil rest to be able to rejuvenate his minerals, the calcium, the magnesium, the iron, the pH level of the soil. And so it's depleted, and the quality of cigar, it shows that the cigars don't have that much taste, right? And of course, since the Chinese people get involved in making cigars in Cuba, they hijack the tradition of cigar making. It becomes more mass manufacturing versus the hand craftsmanship, and that has suffered a lot. But the New World makes very good cigars, and as I said, EPC, Ernesto, Carlito makes very good cigars, and many other people make very good cigars. So there are a lot of good cigars out in the market, but it depends on the individual himself, what they like. Each individual has a different taste. I will never say one cigar is bad, because that's my opinion, and that's not matter. It's based on what customers like to smoke. So yes, I smoke other cigars often, and I try them, and I have tried Cuban, and I've always been disappointed with the draw, with the quality of assembly, and so I stopped smoking them. I don't even try them anymore. But I do from time to time smoke the New World cigars, and I respect those cigars makers, and I take my hats off for them, and they're my good friends, and I enjoy talking with them, and I enjoy smoking cigars with them, very much so.
But I've seen firsthand when you go to the big conventions, how everybody's drawn to you. And what really, really, really caught my attention was to see some of the cigar makers you just mentioned, how they went and in public, in front of everybody, showed you respect.
Well, they're gentlemen, and I respect them.
And they said, you make the best cigars.
Yeah, well, they are.
And that's impressive.
They are gentlemen. Both Ernesto and Carlito are Cuban descent, so they have that heritage, the culture, the attention to the quality, and is a blessing they had from their fathers. So they take that blessing very seriously, and they try to make good cigars from them. And there are a lot of good cigars out there. And sometimes I don't understand, people rate cigars on the podcast, or they write about it. I never pay attention to them, because they smoke the cigar. They might like it or not like it, but that doesn't mean someone else will not like it or dislike it. Or the other day I saw a podcaster smoking a cigar, and his entire complaint was that The gauge was too big. Well, my friend, if you're going to smoke that cigar you rated, that's the first thing you need to do if it's a gauge you like. If it's a gauge you don't like, what's the purpose of you smoking it, rating it? You're saying the taste is good, however, I don't like the gauge. Well, choose a different gauge,
Yeah.
right? It's a very simple problem to solve. But I enjoy, there are a lot of boutique cigar makers that make very good cigars. So there are a lot of people that pay attention to quality. They pay attention to the craftsmanship. And they pay attention on every cigar that is made. By the time a cigar is made, 200 hands touch it. So imagine quality control in cigar is very difficult. I sometimes tell people the quality control in cigar often is more difficult than managing a quality control in automotive assembly plant, which I worked most of my life in, right? But it's something that becomes personal to the person because the person holds it in his hand. He's engaged with it for an hour and a half, right? He's paying a lot of attention on it. So it has to be perfect. Otherwise, they will catch it. And if they don't like it, that's the bad sign.
Well, Saya, you've been extremely generous with your time and your passion. I think you've educated us a lot. I know for a fact you're certainly inspired us as men and women to want more, to do more, and I think you've shared a lot of golden nuggets. I advise everybody to watch this podcast a couple of times because a man who's changing the world and is contributing in such a massive way has shared with us in a way what he considers, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, the formula for success. After spending time with you, I know why they call you the legend. Like, you're impressive. You're an impressive man, the way you do everything. But now I know why they call you the legend. And it reminds me something Frank Sinatra said a long time ago. You only live life once, but the way I live it once is enough. And I think that describes you. You came to this world, and you're definitely making a dent. You're becoming part of history. I admire you. I really appreciate who you are. I wish you a long, healthy life full of passion. Thank you for your time and for doing so much for us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Pleasure
Saya.
being here. Thank you, brother.